And I was looking at the news, and interestingly enough, this came up today. So
Yes.
this is, as of today, Gulf Breeze News is reporting that the city of Gulf Breeze is a finalist for a huge grant. Their city manager, I think she's won several awards for what she's done out there, talked about it as the largest grant the city has ever received, a $12.8 million award from the Florida Trustee Implementation Group. That's amazing. I don't fully understand this one because it just came out, but it may be something that you have a little awareness on. I don't know. Is this something that you're familiar with?
So the grant, not in and of itself, but I believe this is awarded for the septic to sewer conversion project, which
Okay.
the city of Gulf Breeze has been pushing for the past few years to try to get implemented, which
Sounds
is
right, yeah.
an absolutely amazing program for their residents.
Yeah.
It's fully covers almost all aspects of converting the properties from septic to sewer. So it's not just environmentally friendly, but it's financially important for
Yeah.
a lot of the residents there.
And so let's kind of back up for a second, because what is a grant? People may, I mean, you know this stuff, you've worked in it. I'm familiar with the concept, having researched it for the past several years, but what exactly is a grant? What does that mean?
So the best way to describe it is it's typically money that is established by the federal government or some other entity, and it is awarded to applications and projects where the city might put together, like for the Restore grant, they might put together something that fits within an environmental quality type project, and then they go out for that grant. The grant funds are completely, for the most part, covered, and there is some accountability with those grants, but it's meant to improve the communities. So the government, either the state or the federal government, sets up grants to really help fund infrastructure projects that are just desperately needed.
Okay. See, that's the thing, is that a lot of people, when we talk about a city of Navarre, and we talk about grants being part of it, they don't understand that. They assume that everything that we would do with the city is additional taxes.
Yes.
Right? And they don't
That's-
understand the concept of you can pull from other sources,
Yeah.
which is what a grant does.
Exactly, and Gulf Breeze is a wonderful example of that because they have very heavily pushed out grant funding opportunities for most of their projects.
Yeah.
So not all of their projects are completely funded by tax dollars. They do have a lot of grants backing some of these critical projects for the
Right.
city.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I saw. So when I first started studying this about 3 or 4 years ago, I was looking at grants popping up all across the state.
Yeah.
And then I was watching us miss out on them because we
Yeah.
didn't have a municipality to go out and get
An
the money
advocate.
for us. Right. So you've
Yeah.
got the county. They were trying to get some grants. They missed out on a few. That was frustrating for the county. But then I was watching the city of Gulf Breeze kind of swoop in and pick up some of
Yes.
those, right? Because they were
Yeah.
kind of watching behind the county to say, oh, hey, you missed this one, get this one, right? And working with their staff to ensure we lean forward. It's the same thing with like a charity, right? As if
It is.
you're running a charity, you're looking for, okay, I can raise money from locals, but if I can get a grant from a bigger source, then that'll help me with whatever project I'm doing. Right?
Yep,
All of a sudden-
exactly.
My wife did this for her church during COVID.
Oh,
As they
wow.
were, so they basically transformed the church during the week to a distribution center for food for people that were struggling
Oh,
because so
wow.
much was shut down
Yep.
for a while. As they said, hey, we can double and be a food distribution site and help people out. And then
Yeah.
there was grant money that came with that for them to
Yes.
provide that service, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Kept the church going,
Yep.
when everybody was struggling. So that's what I've seen. Like when looking through what makes an effective city versus a non-effective one is, does that city immediately go for tax dollars or does it look at every other source?
All other
Yeah.
options of
So
funding, yeah.
that's one of the reasons that Gulf Breeze is such a model city for what we're trying to do, is because of news like this where we
Yes.
see them doing that. And this isn't the first time, right?
Nope, not at
I
all.
pulled this source from this news source from a couple years ago, talked about how they got $21 million in grants over 3 years
Yeah.
between the mayor and the council, and then Samantha Bell talking about how they'd received more in annual grants than they generated in their property or sales tax, right?
It's very exciting, yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. A good city would function to be able to advocate for those grant opportunities on all different levels. And so having projects that your citizens need
Right.
and having them shovel ready is key to
Yeah.
going out for grant funding.
Yeah.
So a good city kind of sets the tone on what needs to be done even before applying for those grants.
Exactly right. Yeah. So I remember I did some of this at a different level, but I did some of this in the military because I was the resource advisor for the commander for my unit
Oh, wow.
for a couple of years. And one of the things that I would do, you mentioned shovel-ready projects.
Yeah.
That's what I would do is I would have all this stuff ready to go, even though we didn't have the budget for it, right?
Yep.
And I'll say, hey, sir, I know we only have whatever $400,000 for the year, but I've got about $1 million worth of projects and this contractor, and I went through the whole process to
Yeah.
get them ready. And then what would happen is other units would get behind, and then they would not be able to spend all the money from their budget.
Oh.
And so then they're like, wow, hey, I just don't have the projects to be able to spend this on. And then I would say, hey, with some of that money that you're giving back, maybe you can reallocate it to our squadron because they were definite needs.
Yes.
Right? And
Yeah.
so they were like, oh, man, you saved me because now that money can actually get spent for
Yeah.
something useful.
Because you wouldn't want to see those kind of funds go to waste, not at all. And especially when you
Right.
know that your town needs certain infrastructure improvements and stuff. A good city is really going to plan out even 10, 20 years projects that they know are
Right.
critical and have the information available and ready to start applying for
Yeah.
these grants. So
Yeah, and then the staff as well, right?
The
To actually
staff,
execute that,
yes,
make sure it
yeah.
actually happens.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a huge part of it. Is you can get all the money in the world for this stuff, but if you don't have the people to actually
run it and manage it and help.
exactly, yeah.